Well, today we are going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is National Novel Writing Month. If you have not heard of this, you've probably never been around a writer. No, that's not true. um, but it is kind of a buzzword, I think, in the writing community. It's like, oh, are you doing nano? Are you doing, So if you hear that, they're talking about National Novel Writing Month of November. This is something that I have done, gosh, I can't even tell you how many years. It's probably over 10 or 11 at this point. And what it is it's for writers, whether you're experienced or not experienced at all, to take the month of November, which is exactly 30 days, and to challenge yourself to write 50,000 words in 1 month. Now, for someone who has written many books, that may not seem like a full novel. True. In some cases, it is. But for others who have not written anything, that can seem like a lot of words. We understand that. But today we're going to
Yes.
talk a little bit about getting ready for Nano, just three things that I think that you can do that will help kind of get you ready once November 1st hits if you want to try to do this. Now, I will start by saying you can start Nano and not finish it, and it's okay. Younger Emilie would not
This
have
is
believed that.
me. This is me every single year. I think I have started Nano probably 7 or 8 years, and I have never finished
But that's
at all.
okay because you did get something written, right? Like maybe it wasn't
Yeah,
50,000
exactly.
words, but it was the start of your
Mhm.
book. And that's what
It is.
matters. So I
Yeah.
say use Nano however you want to. There, for me, is something about the fall season that makes me want to write. There's
Mhm.
something about being part of this community of a bunch of writers writing that makes me also want to write. So it can be very motivating. But yeah, just consider those things. There is a website. It's called NaNoWriMo.org, I believe. We'll have that linked in the show notes. And you can create a free account and join with other buddies, which is super fun. Maybe we can put our names up there too if you guys want to join
Yeah, of
us.
course.
But yeah, like make sure that you just find whatever is going to work best for you. But to do that, here is my first suggestion point. And that would be to write something down this month in October. And you might be thinking, well, something that's very vague. And yes, I purposefully kept it that way. um, so we talk so much here on the blank page about authors' processes, whatever. And we all have a different approach to the blank page. And basically, for me, looking ahead into November, I know it's going to be helpful for me to have a bit of a plot written out. And sometimes I have done like crazy, insane plots and had it like everything is written out. And sometimes I've just started with an idea, but I do suggest having a bit written down. Like, what have you done in the past for your nano projects, Kristen?
I honestly, I have done pretty much everything that you can think of. I have plotted, like you said, I've plotted significantly before. I have written down just some scenes. I have come on November 1st and opened my document and I'm like, here I am. We're
Yep.
gonna write the word. I think the one year that I was most successful was the year that I was writing. It happened at Christmas, and I did not plot. I did not have like the big plot, every plot point written out on that one. I really, what I did is I wrote down any scene that I saw in my head or any scene that I was super, super, super excited to write, and I just kind of had that in a notebook, and I
Hmm.
just went for it. And I mean, I didn't finish 50,000 words in November, but I did get very far. And
Yeah.
obviously, I ended up finishing and publishing it. So,
Yeah, I love that. So, whatever that looks like for you, whether that is, I mean, maybe it's just a couple of character things because that can be really helpful.
mhm.
I have gone from like, oh, I've got 5 pages on this character to basically height because sometimes it's helpful to know eye color, hair color, and maybe like a personality trait. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily recommend that, but sometimes honestly, that's all I really need because I know the characters. So, whatever that looks like for you, have a bit of a plan. People call this Preptober, and basically like you're going to see people going from like full on, murder boards on their walls to I've just been dreaming about this book, So do whatever
Mhm.
works best for you, but have a bit of a plan. Secondly, speaking of a plan how you're going to do this. I absolutely love something that Kristen, I don't know if you created it or if you found it. But yeah, tell us a little bit about your, what do we call it? Backwards nano?
Yeah, so backwards nano. I fell upon this on a blog, randomly, and I really liked the idea. And then since then, I have not been able to find the blog. Like I pinned it on my pin board, and like you can click it, and it's now just a broken link. So I think
Mm,
it either got taken down or the website is no longer. So I recreated it, but
mhm,
it wasn't my original idea. So backward nano. Basically, what happens is at the beginning of the month, you have an insane word count per day. The highest one is on day 1, and it's like I think it's around 3,400 words. It's
mhm,
not exact, but every day after that, the word count gets less and less and less until on November 30th, the word count that you have for the day is 1. And the reason why I like this approach so much is that when you're going into NaNoWriMo, you are excited. You have the energy. It's the beginning of the month. Like all of these things compounded just make you super excited to sit down and write and work. And as you go on through the month, you're going to get tired. Things are going to come up. There's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Um, yes, yes. If you're in my family, I mean, my anniversary is in November. My daughter's birthday is in November. My mother-in-law's birthday is in November. My father-in-law's birthday is in November. I have a niece's birthday in November. Like everybody was born in November. So you kind of get it kind of starts getting bogged down and it's like, "Oh my gosh, 1,667 words might as well be 10,000 for that day."
Mhm,
So really making the beginning of the month where your highest word counts are, and then by the time that you're getting to the end of the month, I mean, you're writing like there are days when you write like 200 words a month, and then
mhm.
the next day is 175, and it just keeps getting less and less. And that I think in itself can be inspiring because you're getting stuff done and your word count is going down, not up.
Mhm.
So,
I love that, and I might try that this year. I haven't decided yet. But then there is the alternative, which would be that 1,667 words a day.
mhm.
Now, initially, it depends on how you're coming at it, right? If you don't write very often, that might seem insurmountable because that's a lot of words.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you are someone who maybe tries to write 1,000 words a day or something, it's maybe just a little bit more than what your normal writing routine includes. It just depends, right? So,
And I will say too, NaNoWriMo is a tool. It is a tool for the writer to get stuff done, to get words on the page. And so, my advice to you, whether you go at it using my backwards nano, whether you go at it the traditional, you're going to write 1,667 words every single day, or if that looks like something different, maybe you can only write Monday through Friday, but you still want to get that 50,000 word count down by the end of the month. So, take your month, figure out
let's
how many
do
days
the
they are,
let's do the
divided
math.
by, you know, yeah, do the math, but make NaNoWriMo work for you. Don't
Mhm.
go into it thinking that you have to do it exactly this way. And at the end, like stress yourself out because you're not
Mhm.
meeting the goals that aren't even they don't even work for you. So
Right.
make Nano a tool that works for you instead of just something else that's going to stress you out.
So if you were just wanting to work Monday through Friday, I assume that there's 4 weeks in November. So that's going to be about 2,500 words a day. Now, to me, my goal is usually between 3 to 4,000 words a day during the week. So that could be manageable. I don't know that I will do that. I like to, and this is just because I'm a planner. I see the whole month and I like to write in each day what I think I would accomplish. And I might like backlog a bit of the weeks so that they're a little heavier so that I can take my weekends off. I try not to put myself writing on Thanksgiving just because I'm usually with family. Things like that. I think I'm a little insane and trying to write maybe about 70,000 words in November. I don't know if it's going to happen. But that would mean like 3,000 words a day for me, give or take. So like Kristen said, use it to your best advantage. And if you're like, I
Yeah.
for sure am not going to get 50,000 words, join anyways. There's no
Yeah.
shame in that. And then
Yeah.
lastly, really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna also input that you don't have to type the words down. You can write them in a notebook. You can dictate them.
Hmm.
There's all different kinds of ways to get the words down. Think outside of the box. I know an author who wrote an entire book on her phone.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. I love that.
just think outside the box, figure out when you can get it done, and then do it.
Hmm. And then lastly, and this is because and only because it can be motivating, tell people that you're doing it. This is not a
Hmm.
requirement, but I do find so much more A, community support, and B, community pressure when I say that I'm doing nano. And I recommend this for writers, whether it's National Novel Writing Month or whether it's like, July. If you're struggling with getting your word count in or getting anything on the page sometimes, tell a friend and have them keep you
Hmm.
accountable. Kristen is that person for me often because I'm like, I need to be doing this. And she'll check in. And I know that she's going to check in as I try to do with her as well. And so to me,
Hmm.
it just helps kind of like that pressure of just like people know, especially if you were a bit of a newer writer, having it can seem daunting, right? To have people know that you're writing a book. But at the same time, it's like exhilarating, or it can be. If those people are like, how is the book going? And if there are people in your life who will only like bring you down if you mention that to them, don't share that with them. Find some online community support that way instead. But yeah, so make sure that you take some time to write something down this month before November hits. Plan out how you're going to do it, whether that's just a loose plan of like, I'm just going to try to write every day for an hour or something like that, or I want to write those 1,667 words a day. Plan that out ahead of time. And then lastly, tell some people so that they can join in this journey with you. Good nanoing.
Yes. Good luck.